Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing tips for Saturday the 9th of May. So the football selections will be in the description and the first comment. It was a very good week on the football, not so good on the horse racing. Let me get into, I'll tell you what, it's so interesting this week's horse race. I've got 6 horses that absolutely tick interesting boxes. I'm going to talk you through it very briefly, but as the video goes on, the fancies get stronger, and I'll talk you through them. So I've been limited to what I can put on. So they are big prices. So what I went to do was I went to split the stake and have originally, I can't remember how much it was originally. I think it was a 20 pence each way, lucky 63. So I thought, right, I'll have 10p each way, lucky 63, taking the prices, and the other one at SP. However, it would only let me put a maximum of 7p, I think it was. Was it 7p? Yeah, 7, as you can see, 7p each way, lucky 63. And then I had to try and get rid of 2 selections that I thought, well, I'll get rid of those because they're the least amount of box ticked. So let me get into it. And then I added those into a lucky 15 each way. So the first selection is Harbour Lake in the 12:45 at Haydock. The Alan King stable won the first race, this race, last year, and came second with another one in the next race. Well, I'm going for Harbour Lake because it won this race last year. I do believe it's off a £1 higher mark, but I do think it's actually coming into this race in slightly better form. It's a competitive race, 13-2. It's got a very strong chance, and that's what I can say. Really, it's ticked a few boxes, and it's going to run its race more than likely. The next selection is, in my opinion, and I know obviously Sky Bet's put them in time order. For me, this is the most interesting bet of the day. It's Towerlands at 14-1 in the 12:55 at Lingfield. This horse is Tony Carroll trained. Ray Dawson, I do like Ray Dawson. Seems to be very strong in the finish, and also quite sensible. Rides for a lot of the top yards, Roger Veering especially. This horse is generally keen towards the rear, and it's been running in some much more expensive or valuable races than it's running in today. Today's race is 8,000 to the winner. The last 2 races, I do believe, was 18,000, and it was either 18,000 again for the previous one or 36,000. I can't remember, but it wasn't beaten that far, and it was taking a keen hold towards the rear, made good headway. And this horse it's not a turf horse that they're trying to exploit some kind of, see if it can run on the all-weather. For me, this is an out-and-out all-weather horse, although it has had the odd bit of turf form. But it's thrived, especially at Lingfield, over a mile and a mile 2. And I think this horse will be flying at the finish. As I said, Ray Dawson on board. It just needs a little bit of lucky running. And 14-1 paying first 4, in my opinion, is absolutely crazy. If I'm being honest, I'd have backed this horse at 7-1. So the next selection is Hamlet's Night at 20-1 in the 1:15 at Haydock. That's it. I'm trying to think what it is. It's James Owen trained. It was running well. In fact, let me have a quick look. I hate it when I can't remember because obviously I picked 6 horses. Right, yeah. So, yes, it's in the 1:15 at Haydock. So it ran behind Indemnity. Indemnity won that race that day. And then Helnwyn, which you can see there. Helnwyn came second in this race for Alan King last year. But I can't back a horse. You can't quite see the form. But just to the left, you'll see that it fell last time. But as you can see, Hamlet's Night also ran in the race. It came 5th, wasn't beaten that far, but it's ran very well at Musselburgh since on the flat. I do think James Owen's a cracking trainer, and I think this horse has got a very strong chance. I think, to be fair, it's got as good a chance as Indemnity, because Indemnity is obviously carrying extra weight today because it won that race. Hamlet's Night isn't, and also Hamlet Night since has ran a decent race on the flat since, and I see no reason why it can't finish a lot closer to Indemnity, and I would expect that to mean that it will finish a lot higher in the placings, as in I think it's got a very good chance of reaching the frame, and they are paying first 5, and it's 20-1. Right, another interesting horse, and I did originally go off one, Jordan Electrics. I'm not convinced it loves 7 furlongs yet, Jordan Electrics, but it ran an outstanding race last time over 7, but I thought, right, I'll go for something a bit more unexposed. Well, I've completely ripped that up because I've gone for Jumbie at 33-1 in the 220 at Ascot. I watched its run last time, and it wasn't beaten very, very far, and I think it was always literally about the same distance away. Wasn't given a really hard race, and I honestly thought if it stripped a bit fitter, or it would have had a run before that previous race at Newmarket, it would have ran a much better race at Newmarket. Well, this is how it is this time round. So you can imagine Newmarket last time, first time out this season, and I think this time it will strip fit it. The horse is getting on a bit. I think it's 8 now, but it'll definitely strip fitter. And I think that I watched a race yesterday. I can't remember the name of the horse that won. I had a couple of quid each way on a horse called Luzon Heights, I think it was called. And the first 2 horses that filled the first and second were drawn at 11 and 12. I'm not saying, although I am saying, I think high numbers could be favoured today. I'm not quite sure how the ground works at Ascot, but I would imagine that it's quickening all the time, and I imagine that would favour possibly one of the sides, and I'm going to stick with high numbers, and Jumbie is drawn 24 of I think it's 28. Well, if we've got the favoured side, you've then got 7 places. So let's imagine that the low numbers are 3 lengths behind, 4 lengths behind. All of a sudden, you've got 10 horses fighting for 7 places potentially, or 14 horses fighting for 7 places on the high numbers. I think Jumbie, it was staying on well at Newmarket, and it does run well at Ascot. And I just think 33-1 is absolutely bonkers. The next horse is Gordon Gray at 28-1 in the 255 at Ascot. This horse has been campaigned in Bahrain. So I did look at another YouTube channel recently. It's not a bad channel, to be fair. It's Hannah Baycroft. I don't know if you ever watch it, but she interviews quite a few trainers. Well, she went to the George Baker yard, and I tell you what, it's an absolute palace. So yeah, I looked at that. What do you call it? Documentary, YouTube-mentary. I don't know whatever you want. I've just made up a new word there. So this horse, back end of last season, I think it won its last 4 or 5. It used to go straight to the front and basically not stop. The only 2 disappointing runs was in Bahrain, and the first run was disappointing, and the second run was much more encouraging. I'm thinking if this horse gets out, gets an easy lead, it could be very interesting. Paying first 5, hang on, my glasses out. Yeah, paying first 5 at Skybet, 28-1. There's an awful lot of horses that haven't ran in this race so far this season. So I'm thinking it could have a fitness edge, and it could also still be improving. Very interesting that he took it to Bahrain. Apparently, when he takes his horse to Bahrain, I do believe that they normally receive an invitation, because I think his yard is sponsored by one of the sheiks or whatever they are in Bahrain, and I do believe the owners actually, I don't know if this counts for all of them, but the owners that took their horses over to Bahrain from the George Baker stable actually got all the travel and flights paid for the horse, and the owners received 10,000, I don't know if it was £10,000 or not, to spend while they're there. What's that all about? So yeah, so I just think that's this horse has got a decent chance, and very interesting. It's drawn stall 1. I think if it gets out, that's absolutely fine. And Neil Callan's on board. Another interesting horse. Really interesting. Right, this horse absolutely hacked up by 5 lengths in a valuable race at Haydock. It's since ran on the all-weather 3 times and ran appallingly. I tell you what, if this horse dislikes the all-weather, you've got, and the race where it hacked up in, I believe it was rated something like 81 or 82. It's now off 77, courtesy of running poorly on 3 runs, running poorly on the weather. Potentially, you've got a very well handicapped horse that has been dropped in the weights purely because it can't stand the all weather. Or I could be wrong, and it might be something not quite right with the horse. I don't know. Take a look for yourself. But great angles on all of them, in my opinion. I just think they've all got really interesting angles. So this is what I've done. I just wanted to spend the rest of what was in my account. So basically, I've included Towerlands, Jumbie, Gordon Gray, and Digale, or Digale, in a... So this is what I've had. Same horses again, look. 14p, because that's a max they would let me do again. 14p each way, lucky 15. So I just thought, right, I'll have a 25p each way fourfold, or each way kilometre, whatever you want to call it, and then 48p each way doubles on the same selections. So those are all the selections. As I said, there will be football selections in the description and the first comment. They'll be available about 11:30 this morning. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.